Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Say! It's time for the Gallagher Show!
Is there anyone that particularly does not want me to smash this pig? Well then, let's go ahead and smash!
Welcome to the Gallagher Show, where we delve into the absolute stupidity that is comic book writer Michael Gallagher. Michael Gallagher was a writer of comic books in the 1980s and 90s that were admittedly aimed primarily at a younger audience. Though it's pretty certain most kids under the age of 7 would still face palm at his jokes. He's perhaps most known for being the first writer on the Sonic the Hedgehog series, back when that comic more followed the tone of the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog TV series rather than Sonic Sat AM. Yeah, I think there's a reason Ken Penders is looked on more favorably. But Sonic wasn't the only title Gallagher was known for writing on. Back in the late 80s, Marvel published a comic series based on a sitcom called ALF, which apparently was like My Favorite Martian if it was written by Jim Henson. It was about this small, furry alien creature living on Earth, eating cats, making sarcastic remarks, and driving everyone around him crazy. Because that's the kind of stuff that was on TV in the 80s. The character was apparently big time at this time period, as the show was spun off into an animated series on Saturday mornings, as well as this comic book series, which was one of numerous titles Marvel held the licenses to. So, what type of lunacy would Mike Gallagher create writing a comic based on a sitcom about a wisecracking space alien? Well, let's dig into ALF number 22 and find out. I give the cover credit for actually previewing one of the 2 stories that are going to take place in this comic. In this issue, meet Melmac's greatest superheroes, the Uncanned X-Melmen! Oh, goody, this is going to be an X-Men parody. I bet Marvel was so proud to have the license to this comic. And then we get our title character wearing a costume with a knife and fork displayed on the front, and what I think is supposed to be a tablecloth used as a cape, being shown out the door of Professor Charles Xylophone's School for Gifted Mel Mutants. Well, fine! I'll form my own group, Alpha Flight! Time for backstory! It seems the ALF animated series was actually a prequel to the live-action show that was all about the title character's old life on his home planet of Melmac, and every issue of the comic included a story that was a flashback tale in line with that cartoon. Here's the thing though, it appears the main character was not called ALF on his home planet. He assumed that nickname upon arriving on Earth, because it's an acronym for Alien Life Form. So yeah, not only is that a very bad pun, it doesn't even make any damn sense in the context of the franchise's continuity! We open with a full-page spread of ALF knocking tennis balls around the room and swearing. Oh, and a caption box at the bottom of the panel says he's saying Melmacian swear words. And then they censor out the Earth English translation. And people think my decision to not excessively swear on my show is annoying. Hiya, Willie! I'm just imitating my hero, John McEnroe. Trust me, there won't be enough wah-wah music in the world for the number of bad puns in this issue. This somehow becomes a transition into talking about superheroes, in which ALF starts bragging about the supposed greatest heroes on Melmac, but Willie says there's no time for a flashback. Sure there is, Willie! This is only page 2 of a 32-page laugh-loaded fun-filled issue! You're not Deadpool! Cut it out! Anyway, he starts talking about this time he was on Orbit Guard Patrol when he suddenly notices a massive airborne stream of meat. Oh dear God! Melmac is under attack from Oscar Mayer! He follows that stream of meat to whoa! Yeah, I know the tip of that carrier is supposed to resemble a Melmacian nose, but let's just say Freud would have a field day with it. He discovers the carrier is under the command of the most feared villain on Melmac, Magneto! To be played in the movie by Christopher Lean Beef. The most powerful, evil male mutant of them all, Magneto has the power to attract raw meat. He plans world domination by holding Melmac's food supply hostage. Okay, are they just going to add Mel to everything on this planet? This is gonna give me Captain N. Kid Icarus headaches again. At any rate, he turns tail and runs, only for Magneto to have him swallowed up by a huge ball of meat and send him flying. Our hero, everyone! He crashes outside the school we saw in the cover, where this guy is waiting for him. Fear not, young Gordon, for you are safe now. It was I who sensed your plight, and I who subconsciously guided you here. Yeah, Alf's real name on his home alien world was Gordon. And yeah, the other alien's name is Professor Charles Xylophone, and he actually has a xylophone on his wheelchair. I guess we should be glad Professor Xavier's name didn't start with an A, or else the guy would have an accordion. The professor tells Gordon that Magneto will be stopped by his students, the uncanned X-Melmen. Psych Major! His nasal blasts are deadly, so are his endlessly morose monologues. They can't be that much worse than Gallagher's exposition. Then again, Gallagher's writing the dialogue too, so I probably shouldn't tempt fate. Brogue! Her thick Irish accent may charm you, but her thick Irish head may harm you. Yeah, in this issue, their stand-in for Rogue has been changed from Southern to Irish. Who knew the planet Melmac had its own version of the Emerald Isle? Michigan Wolverine! Okay, that one makes the absolute least amount of sense. How in the hell would anyone on planet Melmac know anything about the University of Michigan or its football team? I'm not even a sports guy and I know that's stupid. Could you possibly come up with an even dumber pun? Hagen-Dazler, capable of generating huge blocks of ice cream. The next 4 pages are barely worth talking about as Gordon agrees to help the X-Melmen and they travel back to Magneto's ship. And yet we get almost nothing but Michigan Wolverine making football references and Psych Major whining about his dead girlfriend, Dark Kleenex. I don't even want to know what her power was. And really, what is the point of this story? It's about an alien adventure involving superheroes and villains from another world. You should have endless possibilities to create something completely new and in touch with the TV series. Heck, I'll bet the cartoon had some sort of Melmac villain on it. But instead, you just make very bad references to Marvel superheroes. At least the Kool-Aid Man had its own bad guys in the Thirsties. So the entire team now confronts Magneto and Hagen encases him in a huge block of Neapolitan ice cream, which Magneto just bursts out of, declaring, "Just as I can attract food, so can I repel it! You said he had the power to attract meat, not food! Maybe you'd get your continuity straight if you weren't focused on making jokes Fozzie Bear would boo at!" He buries them in another pile of meat, but forgot about Psych Major, who shoots him with beams that come out of his nose. Okay, gross. While the other X-Melmen broke free of the meat by Gordon eating their way out. Yeah, that's his whole contribution. He helped save the day because he's a pig. Alf wraps up his tale by saying how Magneto was turned over to the Orbit Guard Fly SWAT team.
This isn't funny!
And the comic story ends with Alf offering to help unpack the groceries instead of cleaning up the mess he made by eating everything straight out of the bags. The only hero I see around here is this hoagie I bought for lunch. Too bad, because I need a hero, one that can save me from this comic! The second story revolves around the family's teenage daughter Lynn getting a job with a catering service, and Alf is suspicious that she's just being romantically pursued by her boss, Chris the caterer. Show of hands, who's already figured out how this story's gonna end? Alf tries to get Willie to believe his suspicions, but Willie remains skeptical. Until he sees Lynn going to work in a French maid costume that I'm surprised the artist was able to draw and get past the comics code. This convinces Willie to have him and Alf tail the catering truck like the cops on TV. Knowing Gallagher, I'm surprised he didn't have Alf humming the tune from Starsky and Hutch or the Dukes of Hazzard. Once they arrive at the house they're catering, Alf eats his way through the hedges to sneak up on the truck and then suddenly decides the only way to save Lynn from Chris is to abduct Lynn herself. But wait a minute! Lynn is now outside with Willie, and Alf actually abducted her boss, Christine. Congrats, comic! You managed to combine chivalry and sexism in one story. Did Michael Gallagher write this story or Frank Miller? They realize they can't just unwrap Christine without her discovering Alf, so they stage this thing where Willie pretends to save her from Alf as an unknown abductor. Christine mashes all over Willie, and the comic ends with Willie scolding Alf for a scheme that he himself first thought of, while Christine is left wondering who could have possibly eaten all the food they had, leaving the party they were catering with nothing, and likely ruining any chance her business had at success. Yeah, too bad we can't show you what happened when Kate saw Christine's lipstick on Willie's collar. Ha! They kill me! Ha! I want to kill this comic, because this comic sucks. I give the second story credit for at least feeling like it fits in a TV sitcom like the one this comic is based on, but even then it's extremely formulaic. The first story is just wasted with too many Earth pop culture references when the setting of another world should have given them the chance to be more original. It's really sad when the best Michael Gallagher could come up with were a bunch of bad jokes and references that make him look like an even bigger hack than Joe Quesada.